Hey there, and welcome to another video. Recently, a major update has finally been released to the public, and when I say major, I mean major. Insect breathing has finally been turned into a free ability, Tamari is a new early access Game Pass moveset, string performance has gotten its rework, and there's been some bug fixes to sweeten it up a little bit. The three main updates that got released are definitely a big deal, so let's analyze the update and see what it means for the future of the game. Alright. So the first thing to talk about is insect breathing being made a free ability. If you remember my other videos about it, I've said that insect is a meta breathing, and it's insanely good for just anything in general. So now that I've been actually able to use the ability, since you don't need the Game Pass anymore, it's time to answer the question of whether or not I was correct. And the verdict? I was. Insect is still insanely good for PvP. Literally 2 hours after it was made free, people were discovering infinite combos of insect. There's been an insect apocalypse, with every single person in ranked being an insect user, just because of how great of a breathing it is. Yeah, there's no evasive, but the rest of the moveset more to makes up for it, but it's basically just a much better version of water. It's the best rushdown in the game, and also funnily enough, one of the best zoners. It's absolutely bonkers. My thoughts on it though? Insect is a really fun ability to use, and the combos are great, so if you want to climb ranked a little bit, or just mess around in public servers, go ahead and use it. Insect is most likely going to get a heavy nerf, kind of like what happened to Sickles after it got released to the public, but whether or not this nerf will gut it, or maybe just lower it to being an amazing ability rather than meta, is something that only time can tell. Second update on the list is the rework of string performance, which is definitely one of the more notable changes that happened. Now, string performance has been changed from being a really slow dash that's really easily punishable, to being a fast dash that's an amazing gap closer and combo extender. It does great damage, has good range, and has a ton of stun that makes it much more consistent for combo extending or starting than its predecessor. There is one last thing about it that makes it great, and it's that it block bypasses. Now, with this being added, it means that literally no moves that Sound has are blockable, so it's basically impossible to guard against. This rework is definitely a well-deserved change, and sound breathing users are almost certainly going to be very happy with this update. It may take a while to get used to it though. Now, the third thing that was added in this update was Tamari being made into the new Early Access Game Pass ability. Currently, Tamari has only one move in its moveset, which is Tamari Throw. Tamari Throw throws out 2 projectiles that do decent damage and a small amount of stun. It's a pretty decent move, and according to someone who I met in a ranked match, it has a form of auto-aim on it similar to Arrow Ladder, where it will home in on the opponent but won't highlight people to aim at like Flying Sickles does. It can combo start and extend at close range, but there's not enough stun to combo start if you're far away from your opponent, unlike Flying Sickles. Right now, with only one move, Tamari is a pretty bad ability. We do know the rest of the moveset though, so it'll most likely become a pretty good Blood Demon art when the rest of its moves are released to the public. It'll definitely be a pretty fun thing to use for any early access Game Pass owners though, so if you have the Game Pass, have fun with Tamari Throw. The last few changes added in this update are the most minor, and there's some minor bug fixes that were added to the game. An issue that happened when people joined was fixed. The funny bug where the animation and effects for Caprice would persist if you were hit while charging it was removed, and Unknowing Fire will no longer go on cooldown if your opponent is out of range. The first two are pretty minor and don't mean too much, though the last one is a pretty large buff to Flame. It means that Flame users won't have to worry too much about missing their Flame combo starter, since it just got the Flying Sickles treatment and will only go on cooldown if it's used. This is a good buff, and other than that, there's not really too much to say here. Alright, with all of that being said, those are all of the updates that have been made to Rogue Demon so far. It's definitely a really great update to the game compared to the ones that have come before it, and for the most part, I'm glad about these changes. Anyways, that's the end of the video. If you enjoyed, please like and subscribe so that you're notified of future uploads from me. It helps me out a lot, and I really appreciate it. As always, I'm Noob Eternally, and I'll see you next time in another video. Have a splendid day.